Welcome to the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. I'm Buddy Pulley.
And I'm Seth Dolby.
And Ryan Blaney, after 59 races, has finally gotten back to victory lane. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Ross Chastain turning Chase Elliott into Denny Hamlin. I knew you'd get a laugh out of that. Chase Elliott obviously suspended. Corey LaJoie replacing him in the 9 car. And much, much more, as well as Ask Big Motor Small Blade next on the Big Motor Small Blade podcast.
Roll it.
Roll what?
Our podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that thing we do where we talk in front of a camera like a bunch of blowhards for a couple hours, and then
Blowhards.
I used that this weekend. I think I jokingly called David Land a blowhard to Darian, and he thought that was pretty funny.
Jokingly?
Yeah.
Oh,
jokingly.
I called David Land a blowhard very seriously.
We're all blowhards if you really think about it.
I mean, honestly, yeah. Also blowhard was the fucking rain. Fuck this, dude.
I'll take your word for it.
It was yeah. You know what? Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. You got all the best parts of the whole weekend. Yeah. If y'all didn't know, Seth did the double, and if you follow Jeff Gluck on Twitter, you know that Seth did the double.
About 80,000 people know that I did it. I was at least
80,000.
That's how many views.
Holy shit!
Well, that's how many views Gluck's tweet has, and mine has about 30,000. So about 80,000 people.
We better get some sort of uptick in listenership this week. We got a famous person on this podcast.
Apparently. So yeah, about 80,000 people knew I was planning on doing it, and about last I checked, 32,000 people know that I completed it. Which it just blows my mind that anything I posted has that much viewership and interaction. And it's all been positive, which, I mean, I don't know how it could be negative, but it's fucking Twitter. I kind of expected something.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's people out there that think Chase Elliott was innocent.
That's true. So, yeah, anyway, we'll get more into that, I think, in the Indy.
Yeah. What the plan is, we're going to talk about the 600 and talk about Indy, but I think we're going to break it up into parts. Just because obviously there's a lot to talk about. We had 900 miles of racing on Monday. And then the Indy 500 was, a whole thing itself. So anyway, it rained pretty much. Well, the truck race went off without a hitch. I did not go to the truck race because of a family issue, we'll call it. And so I was at Charlotte Wednesday night and didn't see racing until Monday. That was frustrating. It was brutal. It was brutal. We didn't really sit through much of the rain on Saturday. They kind of caught it early enough, I think. I don't remember. All these days ran together. And then Sunday was absolutely miserable. Like, I mean, it rained. I've never seen it rain 2 days straight in my entire life. Like normally it rains and, you'll have an hour or two where it doesn't rain. No, there was water coming from the sky all day, Saturday and Sunday. It did not stop.
That's a rough go there.
Yeah. Thank God that it did rain Sunday though, because we had a big night. For you, yeah. I also had a big night Saturday night. I had a big week, dude. I had a big 2. We've had a big 2 weeks.
It's been a big crazy year just in general. I mean, I know we did a lot last year. 9 cup races already this year.
But yeah. Okay, I've been to 9. You've been to 8.
Plus the Indy 500.
So, I mean, yeah, they count. We're not doing JGWAP rules.
We won't get into all that, but
no, we're not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
9 majors, I guess we'll put it.
Yeah.
And that's just those, and that's not counting feeders. Now, granted, we've skipped several feeders this year, which has helped me personally as far as feeling exhausted and burnout. Yeah, just having that one day at least where you can kind of not do anything. Pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Wilkesboro was last week. Like I said, I got to Charlotte Wednesday night. Thursday we did some things like just beat bopped around Charlotte, and then Friday did basically the same thing. I can't really remember. Hung out with Noah Gregson a little bit on Thursday. That was fun. If you've listened to the podcast a while, you know I've never really been a big fan of Noah Gregson, but I'm changing my tune, man. He seems like an all right guy. Shout out to Zen Daddy. You know who Zen Daddy is.
Yeah, you explained that to me yesterday. I did not know what the hell you're talking about when you called him that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was fun. That's all I can remember from Thursday, really. Carrie Earnhardt had a big to-do, and there was like talked to Graham Smith a lot and saw Marcus and just hung out downtown Kannapolis. That was cool. Carrie Earnhardt's got good beer. Always appreciate that.
I'll have to try some sometime.
Yep. I like I can't remember what the beer was called last year. I'm pretty sure the can's sitting 5 feet from me, but I can't read because I don't have glasses. But anyway, good beer. We appreciate good beer. I think that was where I was going with that.
So are you implying that does he come out with a beer every year?
I don't know. I don't really know the logistics or the scheduling behind it. I feel like that's a question for like Carrie Earnhardt. By the way, Carrie Earnhardt is the father of Jeffrey Earnhardt, if you didn't know that, Seth.
Which is gross.
Yeah.
I have to not think about that every time.
Yeah. And then Friday, I don't really remember at all, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Were you hammered? Were you in it to win it?
No, I had some free samples of Day Chaser at Hendrick. And
how big is a free sample? Like a shot?
Less than a shot.
Less than a shot. Okay.
Yeah. So this was a long weekend. I don't remember anything that happened.
It was thoroughly a long weekend. There's no doubt about that one.
Yeah, I woke up Saturday. Obviously, it rained for the Xfinity race. We went out to Saeed's. If you guys listen to the Door Bumper Clear, you know what Saeed's is. It's the bar that they all go to. We went there. And, it is interesting seeing Freddie Kraft in his element.
Oh boy!
And not talking about the spotter stand. That man he's a fun time.
Sounds like it. Sounds like they get into some shenanigans.
Yeah. No, I mean he it's just cool seeing like guys that you watch on TV, see in the sport, whatever, and then just seeing them out at the bar and getting them chumming up a little bit. His brother John's fucking hilarious. And then actually I'm gonna save this last part of the story for later on in the show because I got a accolade I want to give a certain person.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna wait for that. But anyway, went out to Saeed's. That was a fun time. It's a karaoke bar in Cornelius, and I did not do karaoke, Seth.
You should have.
What would I have done?
You would have done.
We know what I would have done.
Well, okay, we know what you would have done. It would have.
I would have done "Get Money" by Young Gravy.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking.
And they would have had a riot. They would have been like, "No, get this fucking." Never mind, I can't say that. But get this kid out of here.
I was thinking, whatever that Chili Pepper song is, but
Oh, Can't Stop.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a good karaoke. I feel like someone did that.
Probably. I don't think I've ever heard it karaoke, but I'm sure it's fun.
I headbutted the shit out of Freddie Kraft's wife by accident. I still feel really bad about it. And she apologized to me. So sorry, Megan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cole Custer didn't know how to get the fuck out of the way when someone's trying to get to the bar.
Well, that's Cole Custer for you.
So. I guess, dude. Well, I guess no, I wasn't trying to get to the bar. I was trying to get water So I was trying to be a responsible adult, and Cole Custer's over there just in the damn. I'm like, dude, Cole, move, fucking hell.
Damn, Cole, get out of here.
Yeah. No, I don't. Never mind. Other than that, I've had a God. I was hammered Saturday night, and so Sunday I woke up and had to act like I was a person. And we got to the track, and it rained, and it rained, and it rained, and I'm like, and they were like, "There's a window." I was like, "Yeah," and the window's wet. Like it was dumb. I was frustrated because if I would try to move my car closer to where we were trying to go in the parking lot, but my phone wouldn't load when I was trying to load or watch the Indy 500. So I had to move my car, and then more people would come, and so the service would die. By the way, service at Charlotte, fucking terrible.
Oh yeah,
absolutely horrible.
I don't ever remember it being that bad,
dude. I mean, me and Mom, we were like, we need new phones. Like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it was horrible. I mean, Wilkesboro last week, our shit were great.
Yeah.
Out in the middle of Wilkes County.
Yeah.
Like, they're in a cell tower within 400 miles, I swear to God. But then you get to Charlotte, North Carolina, and nothing. I don't know. But
I feel like that almost makes it worse being in a city
yeah, I
area.
guess more people, yeah. But it was so anyway, I'm trying to watch the Indy 500 on my phone. That was a lost cause. So I decided we walked to the NASCAR trailer and watched the 500, and what happened with that happened. And then they called the race finally. So
yeah, I just remember the Indy 500 ending, and I'm walking down to the media center to try and score a picture or autograph or whatever with Joseph Newgarden, which did not happen because he stayed in there forever. Roger Penske literally brought him McDonald's and a beer, which would have been hilarious to see. But
dude, oh man.
But anyway, I checked my weather app, and I'm like,
hold on. I know Joseph was he was very excited about the McDonald's.
Yes.
But you're Roger Penske. You own like IndyCar. You own like Penske Truck Journal. You own, I don't know, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You're only like a bazillionaire. You're only like the richest man in motorsports. And I guarantee you he got a Miller Lite from a fucking cabana in the middle of the Pagoda Plaza. And then he got some fucking grubby that gets coffee for him to go get McDonald's.
Well, so I haven't
Roger
seen
Penske
it.
spent $4 on his Indy 500 champion.
I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure it was a Coors Light, because when David was talking about it later,
sense of the word his Indy 500 chip. He runs the series, he runs the track, he runs that fucking car, and he was like, here's a fucking McChicken, asshole.
Well, anyway, I remember hearing it was a Coors Light, and I was like, wait a minute, I saw a guy bringing a case of Coors Light into the media center.
Isn't Miller Lite? Hold on, what?
Miller and Coors are the same company.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I only pass by the brewery like every time I go to Charlotte.
Miller Lite sponsors the Carb Day, and then Coors Light sponsors a different day.
I got 3 sundresses, so when we get to that, just be ready.
Fair enough. You just reminded me. I haven't written anything down.
I have an honorary sundress too. I need to write that down.
Pretty easy, so I don't feel like I need to write that one down.
Yeah, I don't think we have to write that one down. It's Chase Elliott, if anyone didn't know.
Yeah. Little William Clyde.
Old Chuck. Old Chuck Elliott. Anyway. And then, we finally got the race Monday. You did the double. Like I said, we'll talk about that more later. If you care to know about Seth's journey from the cornfields of Indiana to the hustle and bustle and zero cell service of Charlotte.
Yeah. Way better but 300,000 people, way better cell service in Indianapolis.
Fuck you.
It's stupid.
Another reason I can't stand IndyCar.
Oh, you're such a degenerate.
Hey man, you can't tell me that Verizon doesn't pump them numbers up, bro.
Probably, but fuck it.
They probably do. Yeah. Well, we were talking to security at Charlotte the other day, Shout out to Greg and shout out to all the security at Charlotte. He was talking about when Sprint sponsored Cup and they used to bump up the service for Sprint and like kill everybody else. I was like, I don't feel like that's like legal, but all right.
I mean, it probably is. All they had to do is lobby it.
I mean, obviously, yeah. And then they put up that cell tower over there on top of the water tower, and now everybody's service is terrible.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we all raced on Monday, and I dubbed it the World 900, and I think it caught on. And Justin Haley completed all but one lap,
which is pretty incredible.
Shout out to him. I really got, if Ty Gibbs would have won, I would have been disappointed though, because Kyle Busch definitely could have beat him, but Ty Gibbs didn't win, so all is right in the world. And also JJ Haley himself, Haley, not Yaley. He beat Ty Gibbs by one lap in completing the World 900. So shout out to the boy.
Kudos to the Justin, and not even his seat, not his pedals.
Yeah.
So,
in the words of Brandon Jones, talking about Ty Gibbs, fuck that kid.
Did he say that, or are you paraphrasing?
He said those exact words to my face the other day.
Oh yeah. You told me that. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, Seth, was the Coca-Cola 600 a good race? We'll just get right into it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. It was a great race.
Okay. All right. This is about to be weird. I guess my expectations were way higher judging by last year. I thought it was a good race.
In what way was this worse than last year?
There were a lot more. There was a lot more action at the front of the field than there was this year, I feel like.
That's fair, but that's the inevitability.
Obviously, last year was just absolutely insane thing ever. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it was a good race. It was a very good race, and I had fun with it. And it was nice to see because it only proves that Charlotte is back. And it just, the Coca-Cola 600, obviously it's a crown jewel race. And it had kind of lost its luster because you go there and someone would lead 300 something laps of the race and it'd be boring as all hell. And we'd be like, why the fuck do we go to Charlotte? Let's make it a road course in the fall. And now that it's finally producing good racing again, I think it adds back to the prestige of the Coca-Cola 600.
Yeah, it 100% does. I mean,
yeah,
watching that, especially the first stage, like I was grinning the entire first stage. Like I was having a blast.
Dude, it was cool because they could rip the top, and I mean, you could run all over the track.
Yeah,
you could run all over the track, and it was something I didn't expect them to be able to run the top quite as well, just because of how cool it was. It was a very cold weekend in Charlotte. I guess that's what I get. I don't go to Charlotte for 1 year and the whole place falls apart. But yeah, anyway, I was surprised at how racy the track was, it being so cool.
Yeah, I was too. Well, I don't know. I guess I didn't feel like it was as cool maybe as you did, but I figured I was just cold, to be honest. Well, it was cooler than normal.
It's a relative term. Yeah, exactly. It was a whole lot cooler than last year. I think Mom said it was like 90 something degrees. It was like 80 something that night, whereas it was in the low 60s.
Yeah.
For the majority of this race.
The interesting thing to me is it by the end of the race, it felt like it was about 10 degrees cooler, and it was about 10 degrees cooler, and the sun had gone down, obviously, and the change.
And the sun was never really out.
No, but yeah, it was dark now. And the interesting thing was how visually obvious the change in the track was from the stands. I thought that was really interesting. It didn't get it. It got less fun once it got dark, I feel like. I don't know what that's down to, but it seemed like dirty air was more of a problem.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, you don't have as much. You don't have as much of the things that make it, great. Guys aren't slipping as much. They're not making mistakes. Tire wears maybe not as much. Well,
they definitely did.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not as it's not as accident prone. I would imagine, when it's cooler conditions, and so yeah.
I think part of it too was that the way the race played out, it wasn't like the calamity and the chaos wasn't mostly happening at the front. So Blaney was clearly the best car.
Yeah.
And when he got out in front, it was obvious. And Byron was pretty clearly the second best car, and it was obvious. And so that plays a major part into it too, because the second best car is not going to go up and pass the first best car 9 times out of 10. So it does make that more apparent, I guess.
Yeah. But, yeah, and it was interesting that the Fords, I mean, they've been nowhere all year long, and Blaney just whooped their ass.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's hard to say whooped their ass when we saw what we saw last week at Wilkesboro and Kyle Larson, but it's
for this race,
he had the best car, and we haven't. I can't remember the last time we saw a Ford that had the best car. Joey Logano, but at a downforce track, I can't remember. I don't think at all in the next gen era has a Ford had the best car in a race.
Yeah, if they have, I guess Joey Logano at Gateway or something. I don't really.
I mean, Joey at probably Vegas. That's the only one I could think of, and he was not the best car that day.
Yeah, it was probably Ross.
But yeah, I mean, there was obviously not as much attrition as there was last year, and I'm glad that I was worried about that too, because it was a good race, and I was worried a lot of people would be kind of let down, and they would kind of look at this race and be like, that was not, just the stark difference in I guess immediate optics. Because it took me a minute after when the race ended, I was like, it was okay, and then as I started thinking about it, I was like, no, a lot of shit happened. That was a really good race, and I think a lot of people agree with that, and I was kind of surprised about that.
I feel like the difference wasn't really as stark as maybe it seemed. I just think we had 16 cautions. That's not nothing.
Yeah, dude, I heard that number this morning, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I couldn't remember.
I couldn't believe that. I'm still trying to kind of go through it, but I think the only stark difference was more the, I guess, severity of the incidents we had last year. I mean, obviously we had the Chris Buescher incident. Yeah. We had the major Daniel Suarez best car incident that made it more.
I mean,
that was the same one, but anyway, that was the same.
Well, like we said, more action at the front of the field. There were more comers and goers. It was all around insane race.
I mean, if Blaney's crew was as bad as Suarez's was last year, it might be more noticeable.
And here's another thing is I was kind of worried about this because we saw Vegas last year in the spring and the fall really were both really good races. And then we get to Vegas in the spring this year, and it wasn't nearly as good as either of the other two. And I was kind of worried about that with the 600. I thought maybe, we saw the absolute barn burner last year. And I thought I was like, man, I'm worried we're going to see a mid-ass race. They obviously figured out the next gen a lot more, but I mean, it wasn't Hendrick heavy like everyone, I think everybody thought it was going to be. I thought Hendrick and Trackhouse. I was like, one of those 6 cars is going to win this race, and it's going to be hard to beat them. And Trackhouse was nowhere.
No,
Ross Chastain was horrible. Daniel Suarez, I got caught up in the Kyle Busch wreck. I think he was running top 5, top 10 when that happened. but after that, he was nowhere to be seen. So that was weird. Larson wasn't nearly as strong as he's been. Chase Elliott ran about where Chase Elliott's run. Alex Bowman ran 12th, obviously his first race back. And then William Byron obviously ran second, but was never. Just no one was going to touch Blaney.
Yeah, Byron was where they were because they were so good on pit road.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they would have been good without that, but that's the reason they were second, third all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ryan Blaney winning, like, obviously big deal. He breaks a winless streak, but also, like, Blaney's like, I've been hard on Blaney a lot because he hasn't. I think Kyle Petty said it. He was like the Casey Kane of our era, where you expect you expect the world from Ryan Blaney, but you don't get shit. And he's kind of been a little bit of a letdown. But I think last year lit a fire under him. I think you saw it at like Phoenix specifically, when he lost to Joey Logano, and they get out and ask him, you happy for Joey? And he's like, no, I wanted to win the race. And I think he really, even though he's signed a contract extension, I think he really, kind of looked at it as like, shit, like I got to make this work. And I mean, he's been okay this year. He's kind of flown under the radar, but I mean, this was a statement. It was the first time Ryan Blaney's dominated a race ever.
And completed
and won. Yeah. And it's the Coca-Cola 600. Like, it's a fucking big deal.
Yeah. Like,
you get a ring.
Is there only 2 races you get a ring for in this series?
No, okay, I guess you get a ring. You get a ring for the 500,
technically
the 600, Darlington.
Do you? Okay.
Yep. And then I think the All-Star race you do too. And I guess Indy, but Indy doesn't count. Everybody knows Crown Jewels 500, Southern 500, and the Coke 600.
And then the 4th one would be Bristol over Indy. I'm sorry, I will die on that hill.
Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, to win one of the Crown Jewel races, breaking a long winless streak like it is, but also go out and dominate. I mean, guys just don't do that. And I think it ups the expectations for Ryan Blaney for the rest of the year. He can't go back to what he does, win one race a year, and then fade off into 6th to 10th place finishes every week, and get eliminated in the round of 8. He's got to take this and go forward. Like, he's got to make something out of this.
I mean, I guess I kind of agree with you. I kind of don't, just because Penske as a whole has been not really anywhere this year.
Yeah, but now you proved you can do it.
Yeah, you did. But how many? I mean, that's fairly common in motorsport to have one time where you hit on it, especially a weekend where you didn't have practice and qualifying. Yeah, and a lot of guys came in this race with just, they did not have it, and they would have had a better shot at it if they had practice and qualifying. That's not an excuse.
I didn't think about that either.
Yeah. So like Trackhouse, no way there's that slow if we have practice and qualifying. No. The 5 team completely missed it. There's no chance that happens if we have practice and qualifying. So while it is impressive, and it will be disappointing for the 12 team and Blaney fans and Blaney himself if this is the only time it happens, it wouldn't really be that surprising to me.
Yeah, but I also look at like this month in general. We said it a while back. This is the month. These, Dover, Darlington, even Wilkesboro to an extent, and then Charlotte, and then also Kansas is in there too. They were going to be 4 points bang races where we are going to learn who's going to run for this title. And I mean, the fact that Blaney had some good runs in there. I think he finished 3rd or 4th at Dover.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I don't remember what he did at Darlington or Kansas, but he, obviously winning the 600. I think it kind of he's got to feel good, and he's got to feel like he can establish himself as a top dog at Penske right now, because Joey Logano hadn't really been anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that, he's got to, the Ford has really been carried this year by Kevin Harvick, and he hasn't, he's just been consistent. That's it. And I think that, now Blaney kind of has to pick that up.
Yeah, they definitely need to use this as a springboard. If they don't, then I guess it's either. I think it's still very likely that we're back to the same narrative with Blaney.
Like I said, I think Blaney's got a fire lit under him. We haven't seen that kind of emotion out of Ryan Blaney ever. Ryan Blaney, he's got a great personality, but he's not like one of those emotional guys. It's kind of like, I relate it to the Christopher Bell at Martinsville last year, when Bell got out of the car after making the Final Four and he's in tears, and it's like, wow, he's got that in him. It's just buried way deep down. And Ryan Blaney got out of the car after winning the Coca-Cola 600 and cried.
Yeah,
like he was choked up because, one, it's been a while, and two, it's I think he knows there's a lot of expectations for him, and I think it was a weight lifted off his shoulders. That, okay, I could still do this. Let's go make a statement out of this.
Well, it was a weird thing too, because usually when Ryan Blaney is dominating a race and leading, you always just kind of, I don't know how you felt about it, but you always feel like Blaney, there's something's going to happen to him, or they're going to do something. And I just did not feel that way.
No,
yeah,
I didn't feel that at all.
way. Yeah, it was just like we were coming down to the end. I'm like,
he's got it.
Yeah, I feel like he has it. I felt like even if we had another restart, he would have had it.
Yeah. Yeah. He was money on restarts. There was nobody better. Byron's good on the short run, but he wasn't as good as Blaney, and Blaney was the best car in the long run. Yeah. I think so. It was, I don't know. He needed it. He needed this, but he's got to use it. Penske's got to use it. Ford has got to take something from this.
Yeah.
They weren't terrible. Kevin Harvick led for, I don't know, however many laps before Blaney passed him. And before that, it was Harvick and Logano 1 and 2. And then, Ford, I feel like this is a big step extent for Ford too. Kevin Harvick, god damn, started second and fell to 30th. He was fucking 30. You should have been down there. You should have been sitting next to me. There's a video somewhere out there. I am screaming at the top. He's fucking 30th. He was second 4 minutes ago. He's 30th. I was having me a fucking come apart in the grandstands. And then next thing you know, he's leading the race. And
they had that first.
My hand still hurts. I was beating the shit out of that fence.
Well, they had that first caution come out, and they come down and pit. And you texted me that he's 30th, and I was like, "Hang on, he's rim and bottom right now." He was like, when you texted me that, he was rolling through through them, and I'm like, are you paying attention? He's coming through right now.
No, I was.
You get way too devastated emotionally way too early. You're like Chase.
Well, I haven't drank a lot of beer that whole weekend, so I was kind of catching up at that point. So I wasn't really thinking straightly.
Our buddy Chase Folsom.
I was about to say, you don't know his last name.
It's been a long weekend, okay? But he's sitting there during the first two stages, acting like the 5 is just not, there's no possible chance that they're going to turn it around and get better. And I'm like, dude, have you watched a race in the past 2 years?
This is news, because you act the same way.
No, I don't. Not 150 laps or 150 miles into the Coca-Cola 600. No.
Okay, yeah, maybe not 600. I don't know. I'm normally not with you at the 600, so I'm
usually not at the 600.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there the whole time I mean, like, yeah, they're bad, but they're going to make a big adjustment. And guess what? They had the hood rolled up, and they were making a big adjustment on the right front. And
There were a lot of guys that had the hood up. Bowman did at one point. Suarez, the 4.
yeah,
like,
I mean, that's the kind of thing you would have done in practice.
Yeah,
that's what we saw. We saw a lot of teams use the first 200 laps, give or take, as practice sessions, and turned it around. They were not Blaney good, but they went from 20th to sub 20th place cars, some of them, to top 5 contending cars. And it was that part was super compelling. I mean, you just mentioned it. Harvick, they were awful at one point, and turned it around, and that thing was on rails there for a minute. And the 5 team did the same thing.
I mean, look, you don't have to point out all these other examples. You can just leave it at Kevin Harvick was terrible, and then they ended up doing good because he's Kevin fucking Harvick, and that's Rodney Childers. And, there's some badasses. Those guys suck.
They do. They're good at what they do. Just because Harvick and them, obviously this, but a lot of people don't give them enough credit for how well they have been doing in the past 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, realistically, if they're anybody else, they're back there with Chase Briscoe being historically ass, as Chase put it.
Dude. How is Stewart Haas this fucking bad, dude?
Well, they're clearly stretched too thin.
I mean, dude, seriously. I don't know what they're gonna do next year.
They probably should not fill the spots.
Well, it's like I was talking to somebody earlier this week, and they were like, they're gonna be lost without a leader next year. I mean, obviously, newsflash, Josh Berry's going in the 4 car. And I think, I don't know, I think a lot of it falls on the shoulders of Rodney Childers and whether or not he stays at that team next year. I think if he does, I think him and Josh will be a stellar combination.
I think they need to look at moving Rodney to competition director.
Oh, well, yeah, either that, but I'd like to see him one season with Josh Berry.
Yeah.
I think that would be a hell of a combination. But I mean, you look at it, I mean, Eric Almirola is probably out. There's a lot of rumors of who's getting that car, whether it's like Zane Smith or Harrison Burton or what's the other, Todd Gilliland. There's a lot of speculation there of who's going to get it, but none of those guys are, guys that are going to come in and make an immediate difference in the team. So I think they're going to be in a little bit of an identity crisis next year, and they're going to need someone. Tony's obviously got everything in the world he's dealing with. Gene Haas is, so I mean, yeah, it probably would take a competition director like a Rodney Childers to kind of get the ship righted. I mean, because Chase Briscoe, I mean, he pukes and rallies for sure. And Ryan Preece kind of does the same thing, but you can't come from 30th every single week. Like you're not gonna win races, and you're damn sure not even gonna think about contending for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
And then Eric Almirola is just gonna run fucking 25th like he does every week.
Yeah, I mean, you could swap the entire Hendrick stable over there, and they're only running mildly better as a quartet.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
Yeah.
Like, obviously that's not good, but it's just I feel like they have 3 B- drivers over there, and I don't think that's really the problem here.
I think ultimately they need to downsize, and I think something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, I don't know. We haven't heard anything about the 10 car. I know technically Eric Almirola is under contract for next year.
They're not. I mean, yeah, but everybody.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah.
And the assumption is that Smithfield is gone, I assume, when Almirola leaves. I mean, why else would they have begged him to come back?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's the perfect opportunity to downsize. Is the point I'm really getting at.
Yeah. Never mind. Can't say that. But anyway, I was going on with something about this. Oh yeah, we were talking about how it was kind of a statement month. We were going to kind of get a feel for everything. I got a couple of notables. Ross Chastain has cooled off.
Yes.
Past couple of weeks. I mean, it was his month up until Wilkesboro. I don't know. Coincidentally, after Justin Marks made the remarks about kind of sitting Ross down. So that's kind of funny. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin are inconsistent as all hell. Mm-hmm. And Suarez he needs help.
Yeah, they're like
he's having bad time.
Yeah, they're not doing very well over there.
Yeah, no, it's not fun in this household right now.
I would imagine not.
Not a good time. And then William Byron, obviously good. Martin Truex is actually pretty good. And Bubba Wallace is fucking stellar right now. I mean, if you count the All-Star race, 4 straight top 5s. And I think that's something that like needs to be, if they could stop screwing up on pit road, which is still a problem a year later. He probably could have contended. I think he could have contended for the win yesterday. As fast as that car was at the end of the race, if he would have had more track speed, he went from 16th to 4th on the last run of the race.
Yeah.
No one was doing that. Especially
not at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess Eric Almirola gave him a good push, got him jump started on that. God. Yeah. But I
do think it's funny you bring that up. It is like, how many guys has Bubba physically gotten in? I feel like it's been several now.
Dude, Eric Almirola is a bitch.
That's true, but like the funny thing about Bubba is he gets into physical confrontations fairly regularly, and his explanation on it is like always the same. To me, it feels like the explanation is always that the other guy's two-faced. I don't know. It seems like Bubba just takes everything a little too personally, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, not to get too deep into the weeds, but another guy that's suffered with some mental health shit that takes shit way too seriously.
That is true. And I know Freddie mentioned that he and Eric just don't like each other for whatever reason.
I think it comes down to there's always a target on Bubba's back. And so I don't think Bubba really knows who he can really trust. And so I think that leads more to, having that sort of reaction to, something like that. And then also Eric Almirola is two-faced. He acts like he's the nicest dude in the world and then whines like a bitch on the radio.
Have you met a person? We're like all kind of like that in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's kind of just why I don't like Eric. Eric Almirola is useless. Like, I mean, I know we try to be unbiased on this podcast.
Do we?
No.
Like that's news to me.
Yeah. Eric Almirola, dude, I mean, Bubba flipped him off. Like, get over it.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, Eric, are you going to get out and try to beat the shit out of somebody on the highway that flips you off? No, you're not. I would hope not. Like,
that would be funny if we found that out later, though.
I guess. I don't know. Bubba Wallace would rock his shit.
Oh, yeah.
If Bubba gave a fuck.
I kind of wish he would have. Like, they have to replace the driver of the 10 mid-race because he got knocked out.
Yeah.
Talk about storylines.
Fucking A, yeah. Anyway, I think that's all we had. Alex Bowman's back. The hack is back.
Talk about that first, or the
I mean, yeah, thing? we're gonna save the best for last. Okay, for sure. Okay,
sounds good. I forgot Alex was even in this race. To be completely honest,
that's good. That's good. We didn't need a storyline. We didn't need people to be like, damn, Alex is back and he sucks. He just kind of ran okay. Yeah. I think the last run of the race didn't really go his way, and he kind of slid back because he's running back half of top 5, top 10 most of the day. But to come back and finish 12th in the longest race of the year when you're still hurt too. Yeah. And also Alex Bowman, missed 3 races, however many races he missed. I don't know. Got a 60-point penalty. Alex Bowman is 16th. He is in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
that's pretty incredible.
Put some respect on my boy and put some respect on Kevin Hamlin's mustache. All right. A handsome gentleman.
I'm just mad that
Mom's words, not mine.
I'm just mad I won't be able to use my Josh Berry pick. And I thought I was going to be able to use it this week. We'll get there, obviously.
I know, yeah.
Or I was hoping. I kind of figured they weren't going to fly him in and out of Portland, but
I know. I think people are saying, oh, it's because he signed a contract with the 4, which I think that is part of it too. I think they're not going to. Yeah, like you could. Well, I don't know, because you got to think about it like that. Well, no. Allmendinger ran both races last year, and they just got. I think it was Ben Rhodes to practice and qualify the car. So they could have gotten anyone, probably Carson Osavar, to practice the qualified 9 car and flew Josh Berry in. But, you've just signed a contract with Stewart-Haas Racing, allegedly. And, we don't really want you in Hendrick Motorsports equipment anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that.
I 100% buy that.
Here's the reason I don't, is just because I feel like...
Have you seen Legacy Motor Club?
Yes, but this one's different.
Wow.
This one's different because he is where he is because Dale Jr. loves him. And I guarantee you, when he got the offer for Stewart-Haas Racing, assuming that happens, or it happened, but just covering my ass in case for some reason it doesn't.
Dude, when it comes down to shit like this, you got to take emotion and who loves who and who got who the opportunity out of it, because
he's still officially the reserve driver for Hendrick Motorsports, though.
I don't know that he would be. I don't know that he technically is anymore.
I don't know. I just feel like
I feel like the works, but
yeah, I assume he signed a contract.
I feel like that was a convenient excuse to be like, oh, we don't want to fly you from Portland.
Here's the thing. I think Allmendinger ran Gateway because he wanted to, not because he was contractually obligated to.
Yeah. Maybe Corey LaJoy having that bad take about the Chase Elliott thing, maybe that really did push him over. Maybe Josh was the guy, and then Rick listened to Stacking Pennies. He was like, never mind.
Or maybe they're getting ready to fire Chase Elliott and actually want to see if they can get Corey LaJoy. I'm kidding, obviously, but
I'm sure that's what. Yeah,
it is weird. Okay, I guess we'll wait to get into that. But
no, go ahead. No, okay. I mean that was all I had.
It is legitimately weird that they were like, all right, let's grab Corey LaJoy, like, because it's not.
Well, I mean, they talked about it when he broke his leg.
I guess the thing that's weird to me about it is more that there's no room at Hendrick. So if this was a situation more where, we got a guy coming up in a couple of years getting ready to retire, and you really want to look at Corey LaJoy as possibly actually being on your team, it makes more sense. But there's no room at Hendrick. There's not going to be for the foreseeable future. That's what makes this odd to me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's kind of. Yeah, other than the fact that Josh Berry was technically the reserve driver for Hendrick, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, Josh Berry's not on the docket to drive a Hendrick car in the future. Corey LaJoy's not really, unless William Byron fucks up really bad. Definitely not the other guy. So I mean, it's kind of the same deal. With that, I don't know. It's we'll come back to Corey.
I don't know. I feel like the Berry thing. I guess yes, yeah. Chevy could say, yeah, don't put him in our cars anymore.
I definitely believe that. I 100% believe that.
But Rick has pole, and Josh is in that car,
and I'm sure Rick is like, I don't want. He's going to Ford next year.
Rick has pole. Josh is in that spot because he's friends with Dale Jr., and Dale Jr. would have told him, you better take that SHR ride because I'm not getting in the Cup Series in the next couple of years, so you need to do that. I'm telling you, Dale Jr. has more pull than manufacturers. I don't care if that's true or not. I'm going to roll with it.
None. I got nothing I could say about that. Not because you're right.
I don't care. Dale Jr. speaks and makes anything happen he wants.
All right. We've had fun on this podcast. Now let's have even more fun.
Oh boy.
Yep. So if you are a fan of Chase Elliott, you know who you are. Sorry for what's about to happen. You just gave up 2 races worth of points when you are within striking distance of pointing your way into the playoffs. And you just threw that away because Denny Hamlin squeezed you twice. Or I guess he did hit him. Okay, cool. Good talk, Seth.
I thought you were going to keep talking.
Oh, no.
Because you normally do. Yeah, no, there's no explanation for this. I mean, no, there's an explanation for it. There's no excuse for it.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott is the most easily rattled driver in the Cup Series. Dude, I swear to God, he is so easily you can get in his head like that.
Yeah.
And he gets out and he lies about it the way I lie. Like, if he's not wearing sunglasses, it's super easy to tell. I mean, it is super easy to tell already, but he has the worst poker face in NASCAR. Does. I swear to God. Like, Chase Elliott.
I'm happy for him. I really am happy for him. I'll see you at Bristol next week.
Yeah, and I understand you can't just own it these days, but, like, if he'd at least gotten out of the car and said, like, he should have known he was suspended at that point. Just say it.
He had to have known. I mean, Alan came over the radio and said, bring it back to pits. Let's try to fix this piece of shit. I mean, I think they all knew that we just fucked up big time.
Yeah, and it's like, and the reason I say he's the most easily rattled driver in the Cup Series, like, right, I guess, like, that might be an exaggeration, but it's not very much of one. Bubba Wallace is pretty easily rattled. Yeah, but he does not have the laundry list of things like this that Chase does.
Here's the thing about this is, I mean, the fact, I don't know, man. Like, you can't. Yeah, I mean, it's tough because you can't own it. But I mean, at that point, I mean, we have so much data. SMT is, I mean, you can't get away with shit anymore in the Cup Series. I mean, Denny Hamlin posted SMT on Twitter. Like, he's got the red receipts. Yeah. Like, you're done, dude. And yeah, I mean, it's just take away the safety part of it. Just the I don't know, man. Just the thought process in that. I mean, clearly there was none. It was a knee-jerk reaction. But, like, dude, you're like here. And here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Bubba Wallace incident and this incident. The Bubba Wallace incident. Bubba Wallace is not a champion of the sport. He's not been around as long as Chase Elliott. Not that Chase hasn't been around that much longer than Bubba. But as far as in top tier equipment, racing with the veterans of the sport, Bubba Wallace has not been there. Most of his career, he's been in the back. Well, not the back, but in the mid tier of the field where they race like assholes. And so when you get to the front of the field, they race differently. And, you know, he handled a situation poorly in that. And, you know, I think you could chalk up a lot of it to the inexperience of racing around those type of guys and realizing that they're not racing you like a dickhead. They're more like, I mean, Kyle that was racing him like, he was racing him a little bit like a dickhead, but also, like, you know, it's not as much just being dumb. It's more or less just, you know, you got to fight for everything you get, especially when you get in the top 10. And I think Bubba, like I said, he didn't have that experience of it, and he fucked up. He did something like just dumb. And I think not saying it was excusable because it wasn't, but it's more excusable than this because then you have Chase Elliott who races these guys every single week and has been racing these guys for however many years. Yeah, exactly. And he's quote unquote a champion of the sport. And you just can't blow your head off your shoulders like that. Like you're Chase fucking Elliott. You got the weight of this entire sport on your shoulders and you do that? Like, come on, bro. Like,
there's just much smarter. Like, so again, it's again like the Bubba Wallace incident. I understand the frustration. I do.
Put him back in the wall. Chase Elliott did one of the most, he did one of the most masterful jobs at retaliating to a person I've ever seen in my life. Was at Phoenix 2017. Hamlin junks him at Martinsville, and Chase doesn't wreck him, doesn't even touch him. He puts Hamlin in, he plays chicken with him. Basically, you could back out or you're going to hit this wall. He hit the wall. Denny Hamlin blows a tire. That's the end of Denny Hamlin's championship right then and there. That was one of the greatest, examples of retaliation with a scalpel and instead of a hammer that I've ever seen. And here we are 7 years later or 6 years later, and he just makes himself look like a Bush League truck driver.
You know what the difference is now between then and now?
What?
Chase Elliott was the best driver at Hendrick at that point.
I knew you were going to fucking say that.
It's true. It's true.
No.
I mean, you look at it.
No, yeah, it's 100% true.
You look at it. Since 2021, he has been teetering with third best driver at Hendrick at some points. Teetering.
I wouldn't go as far as to say third best, but he's definitely playing second fiddle. And we've said it on this podcast before. He's got little brother syndrome for sure.
And and it shows in the way he has reacted to everything.
Let's go. And that's, because Chase used to take a lot of things out on himself that weren't even his fault. I think that's why the Denny Hamlin deal was so, the Martinsville deal was so one-sided, is because it was the first time we saw Chase stick up for himself. And, but now as we've gotten down the road, we've said it before. He does something questionable and he's got half the damn grandstands cheering his name. And so he gets out of the car and he thinks he's right every single time. And then you get in the position where you're not the top dog. And you start kind of acting like it's like a middle child, essentially. Like when, you were the baby. And so you got all the attention. And then, your parents have another kid and that kid gets all the attention. And then, so you start acting up to get the attention back on you. That's what it seems like to me.
Well, I don't know if what I was going to say is going to actually go with that at all. I don't know. I don't have but one sibling, so I don't really know. But the stark contrast in the way he's reacted to everything in 2021 onward. 2020 and before, the way he reacted to everything was about as calm, cool, and collected as I've ever seen in the Cup Series. Yeah. He never really showed getting rattled by anything.
No,
they brought in the best driver in the sport of auto racing currently.
I wouldn't say Kyle Larson's the best driver in the sport. I'd say he's the greatest race car driver in the world.
What is the difference?
The other one sounds cooler.
Okay. I don't like saying that because it sounds like I am a kiss ass.
That's why I say it. Anyway,
they bring him in, and ever since then, yes, Chase was better last year. So fucking what? In a down Cup Series year, Chase pointed his way in. Anyway, that's not really the point. That's not really the point. But we saw how he reacted with the Kevin Harvick incident. Yes, he did help Kyle Larson get another win, but it wasn't because it was Kyle. It was because of that.
And that's, dude, yeah.
The Fontana incident where he blew up understandably upset, but the way he blew up and then wrecked on purpose to bring a caution out.
100% wrecked on purpose too.
Absolutely.
Like, we've been talking about Chase Elliott race manipulation forever.
Yes.
Whether it's on him or not. I mean, Bristol, obviously, that was as blatant as it gets. And then California was a little bit less blatant. But I think it would have been blown up more had Kyle not still ended up winning the race.
Yeah.
But then you have instances like the Roval in 21 where, and this is not on Chase at all. It's on the sanctioning body. He's got a fucking rear TV panel flapping in the wind, and that flies off. I mean, that could have hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And we're just going to let it go because of who he is, and we don't black flag. We wait 4 laps at the Roval for it to fly off so we can throw a caution so it's convenient for him. So, I mean, you add all these things together, and yeah, I guess it is going to make you react to things a little bit different, and you're going to have a little bit more. You're going to be more of a brat.
It's an entitlement issue.
Yeah.
It is 100% an entitlement issue. Chase right now has an entitlement issue, which despite being a silver spoon, I guess we can call him. I know not as bad as some others, but despite being that, he didn't show that.
Yeah, exactly.
The first portion of his career, he was very calm, very cool, very collected, and he has not been that way the past 3 seasons.
Yeah, and it sucks too because he is the most popular driver, and he has these legions of fans. There's a lot of them out there that think the kid can do no wrong, and I mean, that's not good for the sport. It makes us, makes the sport divided when things like this do happen. You have the people who know, yeah, Chase really screwed up there. And, you have a third of the fan base like, no, he didn't do anything wrong. You can right hook people. It's totally fine. It was justified. Then he touched them. Like, I mean,
that's not really a NASCAR specific problem. I mean, we have
no, it's not, but
legions of Lewis Hamilton fans out there that are the same way.
This is new for NASCAR. This wasn't like this with Dale Jr. It is. I don't know.
I don't know if that's true, but
okay. I was younger. I don't necessarily remember, but I don't remember it being as bad with Dale Jr. But I mean,
Dale wasn't as competitive for the entirety of his career either.
Well, anyway, the point I was getting at was there is Chase Elliott on a good day is a funny, witty, fun dude to be around, who's a hell of a race car driver and can carry the sport on its shoulders and carry it with class. But on his worst day, he's just as bad as a Carson Hocevar.
Yep.
And, it's, I don't know. This deal it's just shitty. It's just shitty. I mean, obviously we all know the right hooking someone is the worst thing you can do in this sport. 100%. And you have the two most polarizing drivers in NASCAR do this within months of each other. And it's not a good look. I mean, I don't know.
I think I'm really hoping that Chase getting suspended here is a good thing long term for him.
Yeah.
Because like I said, he's had a bit of a entitlement issue, it feels like. And maybe hopefully this is just a big wake up call.
The only reason I'm going to disagree with you is Bubba's suspension was unprecedented. No one had ever been suspended for right hooking a guy. But NASCAR put their foot down and said, you know what? You can't do this. You're going to face the consequences. You would have thought that would have been a message to the entire sport. But here we are 8 months later, and the most popular driver in the sport goes and does it. And it's getting to the point where I think it should have been. I think I almost want to say the penalty should have been more severe. I almost want to say that. Huh?
I kind of felt that way too.
Yeah, like, and this has nothing. Obviously, we had to put it a certain way. We are very much an anti-Chase Elliott podcast, but this has nothing to do with Chase Elliott at this point. This could have been it could have been Kevin Harvick. And I think the penalty probably should have been more severe, whether it's you take points away as well as suspension, or it's a 2-race suspension. Because, I mean, he's still playoff eligible. He's already missed however many 6 races. I mean, it doesn't really change. Obviously, I said earlier in the show that he had a shot at pointing his way in. Realistically, Chase viewed it as they were going to have to win. And nothing's changed. I mean, you take away an opportunity for yourself to win, really, too. I mean, he probably could have had a shot had they had time to work on it and things went his way last night. But the goal's still the same for Chase Elliott. Nothing changed. And, I think you kind of got to look at, things like playoff eligibility, when it comes to suspending someone now. Because, I mean,
well, I'm glad you brought that up, because before, when we've talked about suspensions, you've been on the train of it should not affect your playoff eligibility.
Yeah, I've thought bad take.
Okay, I was curious. I was just curious because I've always thought it should. Now, granted, if we just got rid of winning you're in, this wouldn't be a problem anyway. If you had to point your way in, no matter what, then it wouldn't make a lick.
Well, I think the fucking winning you're in, and then also the rule that you have to compete in every race. I think that's the dumbest rule ever. One, because
they're all contractually obligated.
Yeah, exactly. They're contractually obligated to do so, and like no one's going to just sit out a race. And I don't know.
Bubba might sit out a road course or two, but
yeah. But I mean, and they give out very few people have been denied a waiver, and the only person I think of that was Grant Enfinger, and that was fucking horseshit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I'm on the boat of it probably needs to affect your playoff eligibility. At the very least, like we heard on Door Bumper Clear, they said take away playoff points. I think that is probably a good move. Well,
and the argument I've been hearing is it's not the team's fault. Don't punish them. And that's
a team sport.
Well, it's a terrible point, because you can take away driver playoff eligibility without taking away team playoff eligibility. You can do that. It's not, I mean, it's unprecedented, I guess.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be impossible I think you kind of have to stick with this for this season, because it's not in the rule book.
100%. Yeah.
So I think, it's based off the way we've done it in the past and the way the rule book is.
Because this is the first time we're dealing with this too, really.
Yeah, because Bubba already obviously missed the playoffs last year. But I think if we go into next season and, well, again, get rid of winning you're in, we don't have this problem at all anyway. But they won't do that because it's not the storylines. We really needed Casey Kane in the playoffs in 2014 when he ran like dog ass every week. But and we really needed Austin Dillon in the playoffs last season, over Martin Truex Jr.
You don't have to name every person that.
Oh, it just I love doing it. It's so fun. It's funny because I think some of these guys who won to get in the playoffs and didn't do anything else the rest of the season, I think they're more memorable now to me just because I hate it so much. But anyway, I mean, you obviously they're not going to do that. But if you literally just take away their playoff eligibility, I don't know how that would work if it's like the points leader. I don't know how that would really work. I guess you just take away their win and you're in. That's what you could do.
Yeah,
You could take away their win in your eligibility, and they have to point their way in. You could definitely do that if you just write the rule in the offseason. That might be the solution here.
You got to do you have to do something other than, because I mean, honestly, let's be honest. All these teams care about is making the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's all they care about. There's too much money and too much, prestige with making the playoffs for the entire organization. So you have to make it harder. You have to make it you got to make it a whole lot harder to make the playoffs. If you do something, I mean, because you got to do something really fucked up to get suspended.
Yeah.
And, right hooking a guy, on the front straightaway at Charlotte at 100 and whatever miles an hour. Yeah, that's worthy of, hey, maybe you shouldn't be in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, just for context, Denny hit the wall directly in front of me. That hit was fucking vicious. I know it definitely looked like it on TV, but seeing it, hearing it live, it was vicious.
It's one of that rivals the Ryan Priest Talladega as far as hits go. I mean, that was a hit.
Yeah.
And it was just unnecessary.
100%.
Yeah. But I don't know, dude. NASCAR made the right call. I was very proud of them for that, because I think obviously not who Chase is, which shouldn't come into play, but it does. And that's not necessarily on Chase. Also, who Chase drives for. Obviously we've talked about a lot how Hendrick tends to get away with a lot. So I think NASCAR did a good job in, actually they suspended Chase Elliott.
I'm really proud of Hendrick too for not fighting it.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I think
because this was clear and obvious. There's no excuse for it. Well, I'm sure Jeff Gordon sat down with them and said down with Chase and the team and said, guys, we're not fighting this.
When all Twitter has your SMT data and sees you blatantly, make a harder left than you've gone the entire race, harder left than me at a voting booth. Yeah, it's going to be hard to appeal that.
Well, and also we talk about how the penalty maybe should have been more severe, because we just saw this and it didn't change anything.
It's kind of like
the rule. Probably, I feel like you could make the rule multiple races and you lose your playoff eligibility. I think that might be enough.
You got to do something with your playoff eligibility. Yeah. I think it comes down to that. Yeah, I mean, because I don't think it's I don't know. It's like shoplifting, but you get to keep the item.
Yeah.
In a sense. I don't know. Yeah, it comes down, and also the failing tech thing. You fail tech 2 or 3 times and nothing really happens to them, and then they finally made it to where, okay, if you fail tech a certain amount of times, it's gradually gets worse and worse for you. But yeah. So obviously Chase is out. We talked about Corey LaJoie is going to be the driver of the 9 car. It is put up or shut up time for Corey LaJoie. He's been a pick-me driver for however many years. Say, put me in a good car. Put me in a good car. I can do it. Here's your shot, dude. This is it.
That's a lot to put on one race with a team he's never raced with before.
He's done sim time with Hendrick and for Hendrick. If Josh Berry can do what Josh Berry did, Corey LaJoie should be light years ahead of that, because he's gotten so much time in a next gen car. He does have more experience with Hendrick Motorsports as a cup organization than Josh Berry ever did. This is it. This is his shot.
If Corey was going to drive several races for Hendrick, I would agree with you, but they could literally just miss the setup and Corey looks terrible. I don't see how this one result is going to show or change anything.
I mean, yeah. I mean, ultimately, you're right. But when you look at people aren't gonna think about that. People aren't gonna look at that.
People in the industry will, and that's all that really matters.
I don't even know if that's true. I mean, if he doesn't, I'm just saying this is one of his best opportunities he's ever had. Let's be honest.
Yes.
And let's just say they do hit the setup and he runs mediocre, what are you going to say? I mean,
well, we won't know any of this stuff. We won't know if they hit the setup and he runs 15th. We won't know that.
I mean,
and look, I'm not even a big Corey LaJoie guy. I think the more I listen to Stacking Pennies, the less I really like him. He's a fucking kiss ass. But it's like, I don't know. Just 1 week in a car with a team. Yes.
Look,
yes, he's done stuff with Hendrick, but he's never been in a race situation with Alan Gustafson.
It boils down to this. It's the Cup Series. It's not late models. It's not Xfinity. It's not, whatever. This is the fucking show. And you got to make the most of everything. And if he comes in there and he screws up, if he himself screws up, if he does something to, mess this race up, and it's clear that they have a good enough car, I think you no longer can look at Corey LaJoie as a talent where, that deserves a better opportunity.
Okay.
Because
I think he's playing with house money right now.
He honestly, he's got, it's a double-edged sword. It's the best opportunity he's ever had. And if he can make the most of it, it's going to be huge for him. But if he doesn't, I think it's going to make him kind of look like used goods in a sense.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
That's just my opinion.
I feel like if he goes in there and runs great, then that's fantastic for him. And I feel like if they run in there and struggle, I don't think it changes much. I don't know. Obviously, yeah. we don't know, but I think you put any driver into a car for 1 weekend, I don't think it means anything. I mean, we saw how bad Ross Chastain was this past week or yesterday. When we saw how bad he was, that doesn't indicate anything long term.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'll put it to bed after this. I think as far as a driver hopping in one race in a car for one race, this is the most prepared anyone's ever been. Okay. So I think it probably I
can concede that.
Yeah. I mean, so I think there's a lot of pressure on Corey to make it work. So
okay.
Yeah. Carson Osbar in the 7. That's fucking ironic.
Yes.
The Mr. Right Hook himself.
Well, that's
gets a cup.
Yeah.
Gets a cup ride because someone right hooks someone.
I'm wondering why he was the first choice.
That's what I was kind of thinking too. Like, why was he the first choice?
Yeah,
It's kind of we're dumb.
Why?
What car did he race yesterday?
He was in a Spire car.
He was in the Spire 77. We're dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. I was the one who was saying put Rajah Caruth in the 9. Fuck it. Send it.
That would have been crazy.
That would have been nuts. Man
Yeah.
just lost his truck ride, or just found out he's not coming back to his truck ride next year, and he gets to get put in the 9 Cup car.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, I mean Carson. That's your argument for Corey LaJoie. I put that on Carson thus far. Like, never been a next gen
Carson is
car.
absolutely playing with house money. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's got a great now. Carson. Now that's a good it's a good betting line. Carson Bar versus Corey LaJoie.
I mean, I guess if the odds were like 25-1 on Carson,
I don't know.
I'd think about
we're getting too deep in the weeds, but like I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how like practice and shit goes, but I think
that'd be one of those ones I'd put like $10 on in the hope that like Corey just has a mechanical failure and Carson can win that way.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see because Carson's really impressed in the Xfinity car. He hadn't finished outside the top 10, I don't think.
Yeah, he was really fast yesterday.
Yeah. Sure. And he was great at Darlington. So it'll be interesting because I think this car might suit him more because it's, obviously he's good in trucks and it's comparable to trucks, but it also you are on the edge a little bit more like an Xfinity car. So I think it's a hybrid of both. And I think it'll be a good fit for him. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But yeah. Other than that, you got anything else for the Coca-Cola 600?
No, I'm basically tapped on the Coca-Cola 600.
Yeah. Wild.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sundress, dumbass.
Sundress, I went with Zane. He ran really well in the 38. 38.
Yeah, 38 car.
And
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, top 10. He led on that restart, and I thought he was going to free fall, and he ends up finishing 10th. I think we've been high on Zane for a while. I think he's probably one of the top talents, and I think he's finally getting the recognition for it. Another Sundress. I bought a Trackhouse racing jacket, and it was like, it wasn't even a rain jacket, but it was like the best rain jacket ever. So shout out to that jacket. Really came in clutch this weekend. Shit beads like there's fucking Rain-X on it. And then the real Sundress, probably of the century, Eric Jones's fiance, 100%, dude. So so we were at Saeed's on Saturday. I don't even know if I should be telling this story, but I'm going to. We were at Saeed's and we see Holly there, and we're mingling amongst the peoples, and we get to talking to her, and I guess she was celebrating something with concerning the engagement, her and Eric. And I guess Eric was off reading to like children in Bangladesh because it was like 2 a.m. or whatever. And so I buy everybody in our group there around the Jello shots, give them the Holly, whatever. And a couple minutes later, she comes back with like a fry basket of fucking Jello shots, and she's like, "You ready?" And so we took a couple Jello shots, and then she got up on the karaoke stand and sang Gangster Paradise.
Oh my God.
And that was the funniest fucking thing in the world. And shout out to her. She's a fucking gangster if I've ever seen one. So Holly, you were the Sundress of the week.
All right.
And of the century, probably.
Yeah.
Holly. You weren't there. You don't get that joke.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already did dumbass.
Yep. It's fucking Chase Elliott.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No further. I mean, we already explained it, but no further explanation. Needed.
And who are you picking for what you call it?
I am picking Corey LaJoy.
I ask you first.
You did ask. Of course, I lost this week, so.
Actually, that's not even who I was going to pick. I have who I wrote down. I'm going to pick Zane Smith. He's in the 38 car again. So I'm going to pick Zane Smith.
Yeah, I picked Todd this past week, not even thinking to check what car he was in.
Hey, man.
Didn't work out for me.
Yeah, you were thinking with your. Never mind.
Boy's still fine as fuck.
Yeah. And now, before we go, we got a new segment on the show that we're gonna try to remember to do every week. Ask Big Motor Small Blade. That's the name of it, tentatively, until we come up with a dumber name for it, like we do for everything. So I took to Instagram and Facebook, and I think Twitter too, and asked you guys to give us some questions, and we'd answer them right here on the pod. Seth, did you gather any from Twitter?
No,
you didn't gather any. Your fame is fleeted.
It's really only on that one post.
Okay. You should have just retweeted. You should have just quoted the post. And anyway, so I got some questions. First one comes from our buddy Chase Folsom. Shout out to him. He didn't give a question. He just said, just a hot take, Larson will run better at Indy than Charlotte in 24 and 25.
Okay, so that comes from Folsom. He thinks that something always happens to Kyle at Charlotte, which has happened more often than not.
Was he not there when Kyle won in 21?
He was. He said excluding that one race.
And that Roval race?
Well, yeah, we're talking about the Oval, but...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing I guess I wanted to talk about. I'm so sick of hearing that we need to get rid of the Roval already, but anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I meant to bring that up earlier.
Yeah. Actually, I meant to bring something up earlier. All right, we'll get back to the questions here in a second. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah, keep the Roval. One, adds prestige to the 600. The Roval's a great race. Nothing more to be said about that. Why do we always think, oh, man, we have this great thing. Let's make 17 of it. That's how we ended up with fucking half the schedule being mile and a half.
Yep.
Like, just we got this great thing. It makes the 600 more prestigious than it's ever been in our lifetimes, at least.
Yeah.
So let it be that. Let it be that. We don't get rid of the Roval.
Yep.
And
because apparently 6 super speedways is a scarcity, Jordan Bianchi, but 6 road courses is just too goddamn many.
Yeah.
Anyway, I needed to say I had that thought in my head all day.
I had it written down. And I totally forgot to talk about it. And then the Southern 500, obviously the 3 crown jewels we established: Daytona, Charlotte, Darlington. Southern 500 needs 4 stages, but only
no.
Well, here's why I say that. The Daytona 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 award more points than any other race on the schedule. Obviously, the duels, you get points for the duels, and there's an extra stage in the 600. We need to figure out a way to have Darlington be that as well. Because
I mean, it would work.
If we want to have this, I feel like the past couple of years, especially since Indy's kind of gone away, and we've kind of, and Darlington went back to Labor Day, we've kind of dubbed these 3 races. I mean, they've always been crown jewel races, but it's like it's more prevalent now, and so I feel like, why shouldn't they be worth more than every other race?
Yeah. I mean,
and
that's
2
fair.
out of 3 are.
But we have to get rid of the stage cautions if we're going to do it. Yeah. Because the issue I've had with the 600 having 4 stages is it completely ruins the strategy. Ruins
all strategy.
Yeah.
So we got to figure that out. But I think it should be.
That's the thing with the past 2 years at the 600 is that they've been incredible races, totally in spite of that. Because it doesn't set the way that the 100 format just does not lend itself to it working out that way, just because it's like you have one pit stop in the middle. Let's say it runs green, which obviously they have in the past 2 years, but you have the one car, one stop in the middle, and that's it. And it's just, I don't know, you can do so much more if you just run the race out naturally. But obviously we haven't really had to deal with that the past 2 years, but it's going to teeter back that direction, I would imagine. And obviously it's the same with everywhere, but yeah.
That's my hot take. Darlington needs 4 stages.
It's fair.
But we need to get rid of stage cautions.
Yep.
I think that'd be a good, and it being like the first race of the playoffs too. I mean, you want to just add all the gimmicks, add the gimmick.
I still want it to not be the first race of the playoffs.
I know.
9 playoff races, damn it. 9.
Yeah. Whatever.